Hi Cheryl, thanks for chatting with me under your beautiful cherry blossom tree.
You're welcome. It's such a beautiful day out here.
It's a shame we weren't able to chat in front of the ladies tonight. When we were talking about this theme for this coffee night, it was so keen to share a message with the ladies. So why is this night so special for you?
So, Katrina, back in 2005, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so, ever since then, I've really been keen to share what I learned from that journey. So, when Jay first asked me, I'm like, yeah, pick me. And I just love to share this story and have an impact on people.
I didn't know you then, so can you briefly tell me a bit about your story? How did you find out you had breast cancer and what happened?
Okay, so it's not a typical story. I was only 42 years old at the time, so too young to be having regular mammograms, never had one. But I felt this pain in my breast and it hung around for a couple of months. So I went to see the GP and I thought they would say, oh, it's probably a cyst or something. But anyway, they sent me off to have my first ever mammogram, squish, and then an ultrasound. And then they said, oh, come back tomorrow, we want to do a core biopsy, which is a bit scary. Anyway, so I had the core biopsy and then got called in to see the breast surgeon. And David was with me at the time. And he puts these pictures up on the screen, you know, they're like x-ray sort of things. I guess it's the mammogram. I'm not really sure, I'm not a medico. And he says, so here's all these little white bits. And I said, oh, what does that mean? And he said, oh, that's the calcium. I said, what's the calcium mean? Duh. And he said, oh, that's where the breast cancer is. What? The what? Yeah, that's where the cancer is. Like, I don't know, he must have thought that I should already know, but I didn't. And then he said, but don't worry, the kind of breast cancer you've got, which is DCIS, ductal carcinoma in situ, is the best kind to get. Lucky me. All we have to do is give you a radical mastectomy and it'll all be gone. I mean, like, chop off, you know, my double G boobs that I'm pretty proud of. Yes. And then he said, oh, but don't worry, there's reconstruction things that you can do afterwards. But I don't do those things, but here's the phone number of the doctor that does. And I walked out of his rooms in a bit of a daze. Made the appointment to see the plastic surgeon as well. Still in a little bit of shock. So the first thing I want you ladies to remember from my journey is to know your body. Be kind to your body and know it really well. Don't ignore something that might be happening in your body.
Wow, that's amazing. You said there was a few things you'd like to share, so what's something else you'd like to share from your journey?
So something else that I learnt was it's important to look after the people who are near to someone going through a cancer journey or any kind of medical thing. When I was in hospital, I now think about what my mum must have been going through, because my dad had passed away from cancer only 8 years earlier, and so that would have been still fresh in her mind. And she came to see me almost every day of the 10 days I was in hospital. Also, David was there in the hospital for the 7 hours that I was in surgery, all on his own. No one was with him. Nobody thought to be with him. My kids were still pretty young. They were young adults. Verity was still at home. She was in year 12 at school, pretty much on her own. Cody and Connor, my little grandkids, they were just really little. And I don't know that anyone checked on how they were doing, because all the emphasis is on the person who's going through it. But in some ways I think it was easier for me because I had something to get on with. But so I learnt to look after the people who are near.
Well, I love that you've allowed God to teach you things through your cancer journey. What's something else you can share with us?
Well, I learnt that it's really important to share your journey with other people. Often when we go through tough times, people offer to help, and we can be independent, so no, I'm fine, I can do this by myself. We can choose to be independent, or we can choose to invite other people to join us in the journey and help us and support us. In the Bible it talks about how when one part of the body hurts, the rest of the body is impacted as well. And that's not just our physical body, that's the body of the church and our community as well. So if we can all help each other, we can all be blessed by it. When I got home from hospital, although David had been with me for the whole month of the journey, he then had to go back to work. And I think he was actually away for about 6 weeks. Not his fault, it's just the way it was. I don't blame him, it's just the way it was. But I couldn't do it by myself. I actually had to include other people and invite them into the story and allow them to help me. And I actually think that that was a blessing for not just me, but for them as well, to be able to be part of it and help. So yeah, people came over and said, anything I can do? And I went, yep, could you please sweep the floor? And I knew then that it was a blessing to them as well.
So I see you've made the word ink, and I know that you like to play with inks and card making, but I'm guessing there's another letter to go in front of that.
Yeah, there sure is. There's another letter. The letter P. And whoops, Daisy. The P is probably the most important of all the things that I wanted to say. The P stands for precious. Now, when I was in hospital all those years ago, so many people came to visit me. I actually wrote all their names down in my journal, and I'm pretty sure there was 45 different people over the 10 days. And cards and flowers and presents. There's another P word because it's good to give presents. Presents are better than flowers. And I just felt so loved and so precious. More loved and precious than I'd ever felt in my life before. And one night I was lying in bed in hospital, and I was just thanking God for all these people who had come and made me feel like this. And then I thought, God, I want to feel that way from you, because I knew it in my head and I just wanted to know it in my heart. And as soon as I said that, I felt him say to me, I am the Lord your God, and you are precious to me. It was almost audible, it was almost loud, and it was so empowering and profound that that I've never forgotten how that made me feel. And I love to tell that story. So, ladies, that's the most important message I want to give you tonight. It's the K, the N, the I, the P are important, but the P is the most important. I know that God wants you to know how precious you are too. You are so loved by Him. You are so precious to Him. In Romans 8:38 and 39, it says, nothing can separate us from the love of God. I've even got it here on my t-shirt. I'm wearing it proudly. There's nothing that can separate us from His love. And I know that in my journeys, sometimes the darkest, scariest, deepest times, they've been the times when I've actually felt closest to God. And so much so that when I got my recent diagnosis of another cancer and had to have a hysterectomy 2 weeks ago, no, 1.5 weeks ago, I knew 1 week ago, it was 1 week ago today, whatever, it's recent, I wasn't afraid. I had this incredible peace knowing that God would be with me.